something on your mind anytime. I'm here to listen, Sistah Talk. When you need someone who understands, I know what you're missing, Sistah Talk. No matter what you're going through, don't worry, I ain't going nowhere. Sistah Talk. If you ever feel alone, say the word, I'll be right there. Sistah Talk. Sister, 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 Sistah Talk. Sister, 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 Sistah Talk. Sister, 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 Sistah Talk. Sister. Ooh, Sistah Talk.
Is the Black church embracing, educating the community about AIDS and HIV, using condom preventions and all that?
For me, I don't want to put all churches in the same group.
Yeah.
I've worked with several churches in Harlem, and some churches are very open, meaning that they will allow you to come in and talk about condom use. Not all churches want the people to talk about condom. I haven't had that experience because the churches I go to tend to be more open. They're like, we want our people to know what's going on.
Right.
But there are some churches that they ask you to come and speak, and they'll say to you,
you can't say
please don't talk about condoms.
Please don't talk, yeah.
Talk to our youth about abstinence.
But you know
and
something,
I have a
Miss
problem.
Geraldine, let me tell you, I think this question and the answer is so important because we are a faith-based community.
Exactly,
okay?
We are.
And I think the people who are at the church, and again, please call in, don't be scared. 212-757-1393. Call in. I believe that there are people, again, we're faith-based people, that we need to really, the church, the organization really need to get out into the community and really talk about this. The numbers are high.
You know, I gotta say something, and you know, for me, and I so appreciate the context that Geraldine just put it. I'm not putting all, you know, churches, you know, in the category, because there are churches out there that has formed, communities, and they're doing it.
But I'm serious. But there is a small percentage.
There's a small percentage. That's right. Now, okay, let me just take it from there's a program, and I call it a program because it is so just within that week, the week of prayer. You know, a woman, African American sister by the name of Prenessa Steele. Launched this, you know, she has done this, I think it's into like maybe its 20th year right now, where it's called the Black Church Week of Prayer for the healing and awareness of HIV and AIDS. And you get so many black churches because now there's funding attached onto it. It has become a business. And, you know, and for me, when the black church, it normally starts from the first Sunday in March and it goes through that week. And then it ends. And then guess what? And that's it. When right in your congregation, there's a percentage of your congregational members who is paying tithes, who is coming to church, who's looking for their salvation, is devastated by this disease at home, have no support. No support. You know, this family
is very
members,
serious.
their deacons, their ministers is not supportive of them. If you go to them again, they want to address it within that week. But what happens to the rest of HIV doesn't live in the lives of people just within that week. It's all through the year. So where is the continuum now, or where is that support? Where is that infrastructure? You know, after this week of prayer is over, some awareness has been brought to us, and this is part of our missionary work.
Do you think that people who think they may be infected by the HIV/AIDS virus, do you think that they will be ostracized by their church, by their family?
Fingers are being pointed. How you got it? How you got? So how did they get it? It doesn't matter. The God that I know, he never asked. You know how you got it? He healed you. He was there for you. You know what I'm saying? He walked with the lepers, and this is why, again, you know, I talk about my spirituality. You know, this is the accountability that our churches, and they are still not looking because they want to know now how you got it, and based on how you got it, or who you are then, you know, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You know, if you're, you know, I'm getting excited.
That's all right. You know, we get new furniture. But go ahead.
But you bring a good point, because one of the things is, like I said, I've been fortunate to work with some churches that are very open. And I think one of the things we do have to do, like I said, I'm a PA, I do a lot of health education, and I enjoy doing that. We also have to push ourselves on them. We have to force it sometimes, because some churches, they're like, oh, come and do an HIV education. But after that, if you don't come, they're not. So we have to, as a community, ask
Yes.
We go to the churches. We support these churches. Yeah. So we, as the people in those churches, need to ask. And I think by doing that, you'll help with the stigma, because there is still a stigma associated with HIV. And it's more in the African American community, because I see a lot of young...
Let's talk about the stigma. Well, let's break that. What's the stigma? We got to clear this. This is going to be on YouTube, internationally. No, we got to get this out of the way, because we are at risk.
And that's the reason why we need to continue to talk about this, because there shouldn't be a stigma. And the point that Michelle brought up is something that I get upset with. When somebody said, well, how did that person... I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how they got HIV. It does not matter whether they got it from sharing needles, they got it from snorting, or if they got it from sex. The person has it. Now, we're going to deal with it. And I think the thing is, I've heard people say, oh, this person got it. They were hemophilic. It wasn't their fault.
It wasn't their fault.
We cannot separate out. The person has HIV. We're here as a provider. I'm here to treat them, to help them, to educate them. And for people that are negative, I'm going to educate them on how to stay negative. And for people that are discordant, meaning one person is positive and one person is negative, we have to work with them so that person stays negative.
You brought up a good point. He's a hemophilia. It's not his fault.
And I've heard people say that. It's sad.
Because sex is supposed to be good. It is good.
It's part of our life.
Abstinence does
not work for people who are sexually active.
Hormones kick in sometimes at an early age.
From that population, So there is the opportunity, absolutely, yes, to speak to individuals, who are negative. But again, until we get it in our head, okay, once you know that you're about to cross that line, or you have crossed that line, and you're someone who is sexually active, or even before, I've seen my son, he's married now, but I've seen my son literally started dating girls, and he's like, we both gonna go take an HIV test.
Hey.
He does that.
That's
what I'm saying? We both gonna do it together. Stop this, again, the pointing of the finger. Oh, I need to know your status. Me, on the other hand, would say, do you know your status? Why is it that we are so concerned about that person's status when we haven't even looked at ours?
Please call in the show, 212-757-1393. I'm Deidre Kelsey, host of Sistah Talk TV show. I know that you all are watching. I know that you all have questions or comments about the. We have two young, lovely people here that are very thorough about this infectious disease. You may have comments or questions. Please call in 212-757-1393. I know you said that it's not important where they got it from, but I do have to ask you this. When you first found out, you did approach the person?
Yes, I did. In fact, I have to be honest, I pretty much made contact with with individuals who I knew from the period of time when my daughter, when I got pregnant with my daughter, to the time that this child was born.
That's brave, though. That's
the
brave.
person who I made contact with, that was the person who was responsible of transmitting the virus, passing the virus on to me.
So how did you feel about that? Were you angry?
At the present time, in the moment when I approached him, I was very angry.
And you seem, Ms. Lopez, you seem like a person that can give somebody a tongue lashing.
And it's not even sort of a tongue lashing, it was actually a reality of, you knew, you found out.
Okay, so
what did you do? What did you do? Because I'm doing the responsible thing.
So he already knew, and he didn't tell you.
He knew, he just didn't. And still to this day, he does not want to accept that he's infected.
Really?
Yeah. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. Denial.
I got you.
It really, really happens. And it's a safety net for some, again, of our, individuals in the Black community not to deal with, because when we talk about, again, we keep using this word stigma, but we talk about a diagnosis of someone, here I am. I'm telling, your viewing audience, I'm someone who's living with HIV. I'm someone who's not letting my diagnosis define me, but I'm someone who is committed to letting our community know we can stop this.
Right. How did you get Raven involved? Well, how did Raven get involved? Your daughter,
I disclosed to Raven from the age of 6 up until today. We still talk about this diagnosis because this is a young lady who was born with HIV. She don't know what it is to be negative. She was born within the generation of kids being born into a society of a disease that is you're ostracized, there's stigma, there's discrimination, there's all of the isms. But there are factors related, and I wondered, I had to be able now to work with this young lady because remember again, I'm in a household where one is negative and one is positive. She has an older brother.
Right.
He's not infected, and she have to now.
What were the questions?
She was raised in that environment.
What were the questions that she asked?
The questions at one period of time. I mean, her question was, "Mom, why did this happen to me? Why had to?" She said, "How come?" She started asking me that question between, let's say, by the time she hit 11, 12, 13, 14.
That's when
because
she's interested in guys.
The hormones is kicking in. She wants to feel normal. She started realizing, oh my God, I'm not really normal. And I had to get into this mindset, you are normal, because a normal household today, there might be HIV in that household, Raven. How do you break that?
And I'm glad she brought that up, because one of the things is when we have especially young people living with HIV, you get into that time when they're a teenager, they're a rebel, and some of these patients are on medications. And, they need that extra support because it's like, they want to be like the other kids, but then they have to take these pills. And a lot of these kids are on a lot of medications because they were born with HIV.
You emailed me an article about there are 6 cities that have a high percentage of this infectious disease. What were those cities again? Do you remember? No, it was
New York, Newark, Atlanta, DC,
Florida. Miami, Florida.
Wow.
New York
and Mississippi, Louisiana, Mississippi. Yes, indeed.
A friend, when I was telling somebody that I was doing the show, and I was, telling her these statistics, she kind of, got kind of, she refuted that.
Yeah.
She
felt it was true.
She thinks that, and I had to listen to it. I'm not saying, but this is a question I want to ask you. Is it because that a lot of other groups are not being tested?
Geraldine again touched on something when we talked about how being poor. Look at these cities again where we identify these high numbers that are disproportionately affecting the Black community. These are our poor neighborhoods. There are social related factors because of poverty. You're going to see certain behaviors. Because of just the impact of poverty, you're seeing certain behaviors. And these are the behaviors that's putting it at risk. And this is why, again, I feel as if there's this complacency or just this, HIV. I remember I heard someone who's a provider use the term HIV is not sexy anymore. Since when did we ever look at HIV as being sexy? And I think my experience...
Who said that?
From my experience, too many times as Black people, we have accepted the unjust. We have accepted the different labels as being, so to me, HIV right now becomes like another accepted, issue that's affecting the Black community. So we should just sweep it up under the carpet and go ahead, go about our merry ways.
What Michelle, I just want to touch on that part with the sex. There was a lot of ads out where they had ads, people looking, sexy. And I think part of it was to get some acceptance. And I think part of the ad was good to get people accepted, but I also think parts of the ad had a problem because sometimes people think, oh, if I get HIV, I'll just take a pill. And you know what? I'm a treater, so I want to treat your HIV, but I also really want to prevent you from getting... HIV has a lot of complications. It's not just about HIV.
Yes.
The longer you live with HIV, especially if you're African American, you're more likely to get kidney disease from HIV.
Yes.
You'll have higher rates of cardiovascular disease. So we already, in the African American community, have higher rates of diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and having HIV will put these even at a higher risk. So it causes a lot of inflammation of the body. People that are HIV positive, especially if they got HIV through intravenous drug use or even snorting cocaine and sharing.
I didn't know that. Snorting cocaine, you get HIV?
Yeah, because the blood you're sharing.
equipment.
You have blood vessels. You have blood vessels in your nose.
Maybe I don't know, but I don't know about cocaine.
Yes,
Okay.
break it down. Listen to the clinician. She gonna break it down.
You have blood vessels in your nose.
Okay.
So if somebody's HIV positive and you share the same straw and you pass it on, you can get it.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know about the straws and stuff like that.
Yes. Drug paraphernalia.
These are paraphernalias.
Drug paraphernalias that are
Yes.
shared, you can get HIV. Even Hep C.
Hepatitis C.
And that's one of the things that's now my new baby.
Yes, and that's the other thing that I was telling you also too. Today, when you contract HIV, it's not just HIV you're being exposed to, you're contracting. We are coming back to women. HPV, the human papillomavirus, it is a very common virus now in women who are positive, because when we got infected, it was not just HIV that came into us, through that vaginal pathway. We contracted HPV. We were exposed to herpes also too, which is a sexually transmitted infection also. These are complications that we can get this. An STD. An STD makes you 4 times more susceptible as a woman of contracting HIV, because it's a host. An STD is a host to HIV. So when you're thinking, you know what, I got treated for chlamydia, I got treated for gonorrhea, take an HIV test, because couple months down the road, or maybe again, if you keep going around in that cycle, you keep being reinfected by that person, HIV is going to come into the picture. There is common threads, and a lot of us as women, who's making the Fortune 500, women, from women who are the poor black women in the community living on welfare, we have some common threads. And when we look at these common threads, we can see why you're susceptible based on certain behaviors. I know about you, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you literally, but I know of a woman who, she's making a 6-figure, you know what I'm saying? She has a nice car, she goes and she stuff.
Think that she
There's common things that me and her, as this woman living here with HIV, we have. And because of me knowing these things about her, I can tell her, if you keep this up, you're going to be positive.
You're watching Sistah Talk TV show. I am your host, Deetra Kelsey. I'm here with Geraldine Joseph, I wanted to call you something else. And her friend, Miss Michelle Lopez. I think I asked you this earlier, but how did you get Raven involved in this? Did she want to, or did you convince her, or she saw what you were doing?
Raven asked to be involved when she started seeing her mom going to conferences. This was a child, as I said, I've been speaking to her about her diagnosis since the age of 6. I explained it to her knowledge base, and as we continue having the conversations, the more experiences she had, she realized, oh my goodness, this is the reason why, mom took me to this conference, because she's seen other people and she's hearing the discussion. Children, they have their own interpretation, their understanding, and once you have the door open to have the discussion, I didn't lie to her and say, Raven, well, you have a blood-borne disease. Raven, you have a disease that's called HIV, and both mommy and you have it. And I remember when Raven first realized that HIV was a disease that had stigma and taboo attached onto it, was based on an experience she had in school.
Yes.
She went to school, and they were having a talk and tell, or a teach and tell that day. And Raven went to school, and sure enough, her teach and tell was to tell the class and her teacher, my mommy and me have a disease called HIV. And we got to go on the TV show called Oprah, and the whole class went up in uproar. The teacher called me. The principal of the school called me, saying that the teacher now wants to wear gloves to teach Raven, because they found out that this child, she told them that she have HIV. Is it accurate? Yes. Yes, she was born with HIV. The medications that have been coming when I sent her to school, and I gave it to the school nurse for her to take during the day, yes, that's medications for her for HIV. And when that child started experiencing the discrimination from adults in the Board of Ed system, who didn't take it upon themselves to learn and understand how
they probably had it themselves, right?
For all you know, they were doing the same things that caused me to become infected. They were having sex with somebody and didn't know the person's status. That's it that I want to say. We are out here still having sex with individuals, and we know nothing about their status or our status.
So Raven asked you, she said, I want to be a part of what you're doing.
She told me, yes. Raven spoke at a conference, New York State AIDS Institute.
How old was she then?
Raven was 10 years old. When she asked me to speak at a conference, there was over 2,000 people at this conference, and she got up on the stage, and she literally told this audience, I am 10 years old, and I've already counted, I've been in the hospital over 90 times throughout my lifestyle because of this disease called HIV. what are you guys doing to help children like me? She said, I don't know. This child was 10. I stood there and looked at my child and said, my God, out of the mouth of babes. You know, what are we doing here? She's not the only child in the state of New York who was born with HIV. I mean, we have done a tremendous amount of work. We have less than 1% of children now being born with HIV in the state of New York. New York has done diligence with pregnancy and blocking the HIV transmission. But the ones who were born with it, who is growing up now, my daughter's going to be 22. She has a boyfriend.
Cute too.
Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, and you know.
By the way, these are friends, as we can see, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
no, I, as a medical provider, think any woman that is pregnant, and if you're HIV positive, you better get into care. There is no reason for a child to be born in the state of New York, or even in the United States, but you know, each state, there's some issues with funding to be born with HIV. Because we could put women on medications after they complete their first trimester. Because during your first trimester, you have a lot of nausea and vomiting, and the medications can cause that side effect. So we wait until after their first trimester and put them on medications to prevent them from giving HIV to their child.
I think we have a phone call.
Yes, hello.
Hi, how you doing? You're watching Sistah Talk TV show. I'm your host, Deetra Kelsey. Say hello to my guests, Geraldine and Michelle.
Hi.
Hello. Tina from Manhattan.
Hi, Tina.
Yes, I'd just like to say that if you just watch the Maury Povich and the Jerry Springer show, you get a good idea about why it's spreading. Because it tells you right there. And all the other shows, everybody's sleeping with everybody, and it's la 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 and he oh, and that's why.
That too. But you know, Michelle was in the. Thank you for calling, Michelle. Well, you were in a committed relationship. Thank you so much, Tina. But that is a factor, and that is true. But in this case, you were in a committed relationship.
Absolutely.
You weren't going around sleeping with this person, that person. This guy knew he was infected, and he
found out during my pregnancy.
He found out during
my pregnancy.
And he still wouldn't tell to save you or your child's life. You know, that's the issue that we're having right now.
But I can't just get locked into that. You know what I'm saying? I can't just get locked in it because it takes away the responsibility of yourself. We need to start letting each of us know, as men and women, our accountability to ourselves. We have done an unjust to ourselves, letting people think someone else is responsible for protecting your life from contracting HIV.
You got that right.
And I think that's an important thing. I mean, I'm married. My husband's here.
Yeah.
And, you know, being in New York City as a young woman before I got married, you have to have that dialogue with the person that you're with.
You got to talk about it.
You got to talk about it. You know, you have to have that strength to say, you know what, if you want to sleep with me, you better put on a condom. And I think that's the thing that we need to focus on.
Okay, let's focus on that. Let's
that's
talk
a
about
big thing for me because I have no children, but I have 3 beautiful goddaughters. One is married, and I have 2 young goddaughters. One is 17 and one is 18 now. They're about to go to college.
Wow.
You know?
Hey, and that's experimental years right
and
there.
the reason I want to bring this up, they're about to go to college.
Please do.
And I am having the talk with my goddaughter, and I will continue, and I text them. You know, if he says you're cute, you better tell him to put something on. Because, you know, at that age, somebody says they're cute. You know,
you get in this old
they're very
giggly state of
playful.
mind.
You know, a guy could say something to them, and they, you know, whatever. My husband talks to my goddaughter and has talks with her as a African-American male, telling her, you have to have these conversations. Because, you know what? They had a study that was done, I can't remember how many years ago, and they went to a black college campus. It was in North Carolina. I can't remember the data.
School did it.
It was in Chapel Hill. And they were looking at people that basically came into school and people that got infected. So we need to talk to our children because when let's
talk about the prevention method. Now, is it only just condoms?
Male condoms, female condoms.
They have female condoms.
Oh yes. And the thing that you have to understand, Michelle talked about behavior. You know, when somebody drinks and they're a little bit tipsy, they may be a little bit off. So as a result, they may not say, put on that condom. Or they might say, the guy might be like, I put it on and he didn't. So you need to be alert when you're having sex.
So the best prevention, you said, don't do intravenous drugs.
Yes.
And
if you're going to shoot
needles,
don't share needles.
Because not just intravenous drugs is a method of sharing.
Don't share drug paraphernalia. Don't share straws. Don't share. They have cookers, cotton balls.
Yes.
Don't share drug paraphernalia.
Okay. All right. What's the treatment? Okay. What's the new treatments out right now?
So currently, for HIV, the guidelines change like every other day. Oh yes, you got to be on top of it. But currently now, it's being stated, if you're HIV positive, regardless of your T cells, you should be on medications. For several reasons. There was a time we used to treat you if your T cells were less than 500.
Right.
Then they changed it to treating you if your T cells were less than 350. They're 350 to 500 we could watch, and sometimes based on your viral load. However, now, looking at all the data throughout the years, what we find is HIV causes a lot of inflammation, when I stated earlier. So it affects your organs. And when we look at African Americans, I cannot say this enough, renal disease that is affected by HIV is 90% African American, black people. So if you have any underlying renal disease that is due to HIV, you have to be on meds. We got to protect
renal disease.
Yes. Kidney failure. And when we look at the statistics surrounding renal health and kidneys disease in the black community, that's telling us something.
So now with the new guidelines, it doesn't matter. Even if your T cells are over 500, you need to be on meds. By being on medications, you can prevent giving HIV to somebody else. Okay?
Really? Oh, wow. We got 2 minutes left.
We got 2 minutes left.
We got I told you to go by fast.
You can prevent.
We have a after show. Also, you have to give the closing statement. Bounce TV, see what we're doing? We're educating the community. We are in the community. That's what we're doing. Give us a call, please. Like us on Facebook, Sistah Talk TV show. Tweet us on Twitter, Sistah Talk TV. I want to thank the creator and the director and producer, Zaki Z Starman. Ginger New York always come through. Our new cameraman is Zaki, of course. Zaki. My closing statement is really off the top of my head. We got people in the community that are really out there trying to save our community. And I really believe it's up to us, black women. It's the only way that we're going to do it. We are the nurturer. We are the cushion. We got to tell those guys, put on a condom. No. If you suspect.
If I don't know your status, I want you to put on a condom.
If you don't know, even if it's a one-night stand, zip it out, baby. Lamb's wool, lambskin. I heard that's not no good.
I don't even think they sell that. I don't think it's on the shelves anymore.
They're doing my research.
I don't think it's on this.
So like us on Twitter, like us on Sistah Talk TV show Facebook. Hey. I'm Deetra Kelsey. I want to thank my guest, Geraldine Joseph.
Thank you.
Miss Michelle Lopez, girly girl here, for gracing our set on Sistah Talk TV show. I'm wishing you peace, love, and light. Bye. Music. Thank you. Tony, man.
That was good.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I didn't even get to
Wow. Sistah Talk, Sistah Talk, Sistah Talk. Something on your mind anytime. I'm here to listen. Sistah Talk. When you need someone who understands, I know what you're missing. Sistah Talk. No matter what you're going through, don't worry, I ain't going nowhere. Sistah Talk. If you ever feel alone, say the word, I'll be right there. Sistah Talk. Sistah Talk, Sistah Talk, Sistah Talk, Sistah Talk.